Hey everyone, welcome to the 5 most common mistakes people make when preparing for Platinum, and also how to fix them and what to do instead. So that should have also been the title, to be honest, but it is what it is. All right, so mistake number one. So I also want to add a lot of the mistakes that I'm going to point out in Platinum, they arrive from people being like really hardworking and trying to repeat the same stuff they did in gold. So it's not a bad thing if you're making these mistakes. It's that work smarter and harder balance. You're essentially working less smart, but you're working hard, right? Um, by the time you reach platinum, you're pretty much a hard worker. So that's like not the issue here. The issue is working smart and spending a lot of time on things that are wastes of time. So basically what I'm going to be talking about for the first four, fifth one is a little separate, but the first four are really cores of like mistakes people make that really drains their time and energy and doesn't allow them to spend time on stuff that are actually going to make massive progress in platinum. Just to be clear, so if you find yourself doing these, again, not everyone's going to do all of them, but if you find yourself doing these, it's not that like you're not super hardworking and dedicated. It's just wishing we can make some slight tweaks and re-prep to make some massive improvements. All right, so mistake number one is learning too many topics in depth. Where does this come from? Well, when you're in, silver, gold, you learn all the different algorithms and data structures that show up and you learn them all super in depth, right? If you just learn prefix sums at a high level and you can't solve prefix sums problem in depth, well, that's going to be an issue for silver. But for platinum, the problem is that there are way too many topics that possibly arise. And there'll be like an algorithm that shows up, once every 3 years. So that's in 36 problems, this shows up once. And there's another algorithm which shows up once every 5 years. So now you're like in 60 problems, this shows up once. And if you spend a ton of time going super in depth into each of these topics, like let's say, you spend like 25 hours going in depth into one of these topics to get decently good at it, you're gonna really miss the point. You're gonna really miss that like practice that could have been spent um on stuff that are going to show up. For example, DP almost certainly gonna show up in 2 out of 3 contest problems. Like that's how common it is. Um, Other sort of stuff show up on a continuous basis. And those are some of the key stuff that you should learn. Hashing, even though it's not in the IOI syllabus, is also a good thing to learn because it can help you with a whole bunch of other variety of topics. Like a lot of suffix words problems, you can get like 80-90% using hashing, and that sort of thing. So learning too many topics in depth is the mistake. However, you do want to focus on certain topics in depth that are common. One example I gave was DP. And you want to learn a breadth of topics at the high level. So you do want to know all the topics at a high level, not super in depth. So instead of spending 25 hours getting decently good at a topic, spend 1 or 2. Learn it, solve a problem with it, so you know how to implement it efficiently, and you just have that repertoire to like go back to in case the thing shows up in contest, right? So you know what the algorithm is. So if you see a problem in contest that sort of seems like you use the algorithm, you at least know to use the algorithm and you basically know how to use it. So you have the basics down. And the reason is you don't want to miss an easy problem because you didn't know the algorithm. Although this topic may show up only once every 5 years, if it shows up in a hard problem, okay, you probably weren't going to get that anyways, right? I'm talking platinum to first-time camper, not like IY levels. So platinum first-time camper, you're going to solve 1.5 about problems if you're trying to make camp for the first time, approximately. So you're probably not going to solve the second or third problem, just statistically speaking. And so if you're really focused on like, so if that topic shows up in an insanely hard problem, probably not going to get it anyways. Don't worry about it. But if that topic shows up in the easy problem of the contest, now if you don't have a base understanding, you're also going to miss the easy problem. Now it's not the end of the world. I definitely made the mistake of missing some of the easy topics just because they were so rare and I'd never seen a USACO problem on it before. And I would miss the problem in contest, but I would still get like partials for that problem. And I did well enough in the other contest to make up for it. So it's not a big deal because these are very rare things, but you'll probably see one of these rare contest topics like once in the season, right? So make sure that you have a broad understanding of these rare concepts, just so that if they show up, you can actually like solve the easy problems on them. But you don't want to worry about them in depth because chances are you're not going to get the hard problem for them anyways. And the best thing you can do to set yourself up to get that like middle problem or get your best chance to get the easy problem is to focus on the concepts like DP that are going to show up again and again. All right. Second thing is practicing mainly on past USACO problems. This is an issue for platinum. Now it comes from the fact that like for bronze and silver, you can kind of, and gold, you can kind of get away with this. Bronze, silver, really, gold, kind of. For platinum, there's like the easy, medium, and hard problem. Now recall that for bronze and silver and gold, you're trying to solve all three of them to advance, right? Or at least 2.5. For platinum, you try to solve 1.5. This means that when you're starting out, you're going to be able to solve 0 for a big chunk of time until you're finally able to solve 1, the easy one. Until you're finally able to solve like 1.5, maybe even 2. And so what this means is that if the platinum problems are here, the ones you're really going to be focusing on are down here. Versus gold, the problems here, we're trying to focus on all of them. So platinum, you basically have twice as much depth to cover, let's just say, to reach the harder problem. So for platinum, in essence, there's half as many problems on the difficulties that you actually care about, rather than silver and gold. You're shooting for like about 500-ish. There's half as many problems on the difficulties that you actually care about. So you need to supplement the remaining problems from other sources. One good other source I'm going to give you is OI checklist. So I'm just going to share my screen with this real quick. All right, so I'm logged in here. You just click my checklist and you can scroll down and it gives you a bunch of problems from all the previous years. More importantly, it shows you the number of solves on each problem. So if I scroll over this, okay, you got 11 solves. This got 10. This got 3. Okay, this one got 47. Oh, so this is going to be significantly easier than these. The number of solves it gives you are the in-contest solves. So it's got 47, 8, 9, 51, 9, 6. So if I'm practicing on this 51 and this 47. This one's 71. Okay, it's a little bit easier. 114, easier. 135, easier. I solved the hard one with 13. So as you can see, it gives you the problems with the number of solves, so you can sort of figure out where your level is in terms of number of solves by like binary searching, and then work up your level. It gives you some additional problems. There's also other contests. Now keep in mind that the number of solves is not a unit that can be transferred between concepts. So for every type of contest, you have to think about the number of solves separately. But there's IOI, there's APOI, BOI, CEOI. There's this one here there's no stats for some of the recent ones here, so I wouldn't worry about this contest too much. It's also, if I click on this problem, okay, it's making me log in, but it's also not all the time the easiest to do, like to understand the solutions for this contest. So we're coming to that in a second, but yeah, and then there's Info Cup. And this one, I believe the solutions aren't even in English for this. So Japanese is pretty good, but again, the solutions are not in English, so you have to translate them. Then there is Polish. Again, great solutions, great problems, not in English. I think, actually, they might start having some solutions in English, but I'm not certain. And USACO, obviously with English solutions. For the most recent years, there's no stats, but for 2020, there are stats, so that's always fun. You can see the number of solves, so like find the easier USACO problems. And just work on the easier USACO problems and work your way up to the harder ones. So it gives you a quick way to find the problems to work on. Another thing you can do is go to Codeforces, sort by difficulty. Binary search to figure out where your sort of level is, because your contest rating may be different than your level. Just for the simple purpose that like what you're able to solve in contest also depends, your score depends on like how many wrong answers, which doesn't matter at USACO at all, and how long, so it doesn't matter at USACO. So don't worry about those. Just worry about where you're able to sort of solve and start increasing the difficulty from there. So that gives you 2 more sources, which are very useful. I'm just going to put the links in the chat. And if you are watching the recording, the links will be down below. So I'm just going to put the OI checklist and Codeforces problem set. All right, cool. The next problem that we see, or I see a lot when people prepare for Platinum, is learning math for competitive programming in Codeforces or Euler Project, however it's pronounced. All right, the thing about math for competitive programming is it's great for Codeforces, but if you're preparing for USACO Camp, Okay, make camp and then worry about the other stuff like Codeforces. I know it's fun, but like first make camp, then worry about these extra bonuses. Because a lot of the sort of number theory, Chinese remainder theorem, probability stuff, a lot of the complex math that shows up in Codeforces is not there in USACO. USACO, the math is basically just a little bit of number theory, like some of the basic stuff that like factorizations and stuff like that. And there's like permutations, combinations, some of those basic stuff. There are several IOI competitors every year from the US, or several every year, but there are IOI competitors every year from the US, at least I'm aware of, who have not made Amy. And a lot of times the IOI competitors have made Amy, but that's just because they're also interested in math. But I know multiple IOI, I'll also say, there's multiple IOI competitors I know, actually many who have not made Amy. So several campers every year who don't make Amy, including myself, and including the most recent years. So don't worry about math that much. Like it's not needed, and spending time specifically grinding math, that'll help you in Codeforces rating, but that's not what you're focused on. You're focused on making camp, right? That's why colleges might not know what Codeforces rating is, but they're probably gonna know what USACO camp is depending on the college. So yeah, that is the third mistake. All right. Fourth mistake, working on problems where you can't easily understand the solution. If the solution is in a different language, don't work on the problems. There's more than plenty of problems. All Codeforces solutions are in English. All Codeforces solutions, if you don't understand the analysis, there are people in the comments who will like explain it more in depth. So you can look at it more in depth. And there's people who link their codes with the solutions because of the ease of how easy it is to do. So why would you spend time working on problems for solutions in a different language? And now you have to Google Translate it, and now some of the words are like a little bit weird, and it's hard for you to understand the technical terms and the technical flow of stuff. Just don't put yourself through it. It's unnecessary. It's not even helpful. If you find that the solutions are confusing for something, or they're just way too short, or they don't resonate with you, pick a different contest. Now, if that contest is USACO, okay, you have to work on USACO practice problems for USACO. But if that contest is like, but if it's any of the other contests, like Polish stuff a little bit for me, just don't do that contest. Even if the problems are nice, there's other nice problems out there. Don't work on problems where you cannot easily understand the solution, because it's just gonna take extra time, and it's gonna take extra time doing stuff that are not fun. For me, trying to understand the solution is just horrible if I can't understand it properly. It leads to like a burnout, it leads to like less passion for USACO, is not great. So focus on problems where understanding the official solution are easy. Or work with someone who can explain the solutions to you for the problems that you need to know, right? Like for my students, that's really easy. They just bring it to me and we just explain the solutions to them. They can ask questions and it's great. But if you're trying to self-study, first of all, ask yourself the question like, hey, why am I trying to self-study? Like, what do I prove to myself by self-studying? Like, because for some people, they're like, yeah, I want to do it on my own. There's a video on my YouTube channel about how, like, if you're praised as a child, oh, great job. You're so smart. You did this on your own. Now you connect you being smart to doing stuff on your own. So you want to do stuff on your own rather than getting help. Colleges don't care how you did it. That's a secret. Like they just care what your accomplishments are. So if that's the reason, then maybe make a shift. But yeah, those are also a few ways to find problems that are more accessible. Find problem solutions are more accessible. Let's put it that way. All right. Lastly, number 5. And this was the same one for silver, gold, and I'm going to again say for platinum, not having your heart in it. So this is going to sound a little bit cliche, but like stick with me. I promise this is the number one key for platinum to camp. For like whenever I see someone who got everything else down, but they're spending time and not going from platinum to camp, it's usually this issue here. And here's why. When you're working on problems, and you're spending effort on problems, it's not just spending the time on problems. It's also like the effort you're spending to try to solve it as you're working on it. And if you're only giving 75% to that problem, it's not going to work as well if you're giving like 95, 100%. And so if you don't have your heart in it, you're not going to be pushed to give 100% all the time. You're working on problems, or at least like most of the time. If you don't have your heart in it, you're going to get burnt out. You're spending a bunch of time doing the stuff that like you're just not passionate about. And one of the first lectures we did, the secret ingredient to making USACO camp, it's about passion. It was, I believe, April 3. So go check out that recording. Go look at that handout. It was super critical there. But just to give you some like idea, if you're not as passionate, or some idea of like why that's important, if you're not as passionate about it, you're just not going to do as well, right? That lecture goes into how to build passion. Just to be clear. So if you want to check out how to build passion, go check that one out. But the reason you need to be passionate is like if you're not super passionate about USACO, you're gonna find it a chore to work on it. You're not gonna be thinking about it in your spare time. And finding a chore to work on it is gonna lead to burnout because your heart's not in it, and you're just not feeling it. And so if that means that like, hey, I need to take a day break today because I've been working on USACO nonstop for like the past month, 4 hours a day. I don't know, whatever that is for you. And I need to take a break today. That's fine. Take that break. Do what you have to do to keep your heart in it. Taking a small break could even increase your passion, right? Absence makes the heart grow fonder, or whatever the cliche saying is. So that's one thing you can do. Also check out the other lecture for like a super in-depth analysis from a psychological viewpoint on how to increase passion. But it's just so important to make sure that when you're spending time on USACO, that's like your happy place. Like when I'm stressed out from life, go to USACO. It's my happy place. I'm trying to procrastinate schoolwork. Okay, I'm going to do USACO. That's where I was when I was preparing for USACO camp. And that's where a lot of people I know who also made camp were in that place mentally too. And so you can have your parents push you through bronze. For silver, it gets a lot harder. Gold, nearly impossible. Platinum, I've like never seen it happen. Even there was a kid who was in 7th grade one year I was in camp. That was crazy. Like it usually never happens. There's just one exception, and he's just amazing. But he was very passionate about USACO, and it showed. Like it'd be lunchtime, he'd be working on problems, and he just like loved it so much. And so if you're not passionate about USACO, life is short. Go do something else. That's okay. If it's the case that you love the result of making camp, that's great. That's like it's great to have that goal. Look, having the goal is not the problem. The issue is when you don't have the passion, you don't have the love for the day-to-day required to make camp. If you don't have the love for the day-to-day required to make camp, this might not be the goal for you, if I'm being completely honest. But if you have a love for the day-to-day required to make camp and you're trying to work smarter, then, apply the things that we talked about today. Apply the other stuff from the other lectures. Just make fewer of the mistakes you're talking about today and do more of the stuff we talked about previously. And if your heart's in it, you'll just keep pushing and you'll just keep trying to do better. And, I have faith that like with the putting in working smart and working hard, if your heart's in it, I have faith that you will do incredible. All right, that is the 5 topics I have for you today. And just to summarize, mistake number 1, learning too many topics in depth, right? Learn all the different random topics at a very high level and focus in depth on the ones that show up commonly, such as DP. Problem number 2, primarily practicing on past USACO problems. That's only going to give you a subset of the practice you need. You need a lot more practice, and the sort of problems are going to be at your level and accessible. So, OI checklist, Codeforces, we talk about how to find problems there. Number 3, learning math for competitive programming from Codeforces or the project or any other sources, right? We don't need too many complicated math at all. Basic middle school math competition prep and not even making Amy will do it for you. Number 4, working on problems where you cannot easily understand the solution. And number 5, not having your heart in it. And that is all I have for you guys today. Next week, we're going to get more into more of the algorithmic stuff, and then we might go back to concept stuff the week after. So sort of an alternate. Last week was algorithmic. This week's more conceptual. Next week might be more algorithmic again. Hope you love this, and yeah, have a great day. See you guys next week.